Hello folks, welcome back. Today we're going to be starting on the beading and the painting in the lounge. So just thought I would show you a shot of what the lounge looked like before as a reminder, because by the end of this video it's going to be looking very different. So we've got two different types of wood for the walls. The first one was like a thicker version, which I think is usually used as like a dado rail that usually would go through the middle of the wall, because we wanted to have a thicker square on the outside and then a more thinner version on the inside. So we've got two different kinds from B&Q. And this is Andrew, who was going to be cutting all of the wood because I was terrified to go anywhere near the saw machine. But we basically just measured it all out and then cut the top parts of the wood to more of like an angle, so that when they come together they all kind of join up. Once all the wood was cut, we just ended up pairing them all up on the floor together, so we knew like which bits of wood were going where, which bits of wood matched up with each other. And as you can see, it was a lot of wood on the floor. It can get very confusing which bits go with which, so it's best to kind of just, I guess, keep them all together. Match them up on the floor helped with us. We also did a mock-up version on Photoshop. We basically took a picture of what the wall looked like before and then edited what we wanted it to look like after. So if you have access to like Photoshop or somebody who can do like editing online, that really makes a difference to see what the end goal is going to be. Once all the wood was cut, it was time to start getting it on the wall to see what it looked like. We started with a laser level to kind of keep everything even, but then what we realized was that the wall itself wasn't perfectly flat and wasn't perfectly straight. So we kind of used the laser level, but then we also had to use just our eyes as well to figure out how to get it as straight as we possibly could. We also just used a bit of masking tape to stick it on rather than just glue it on straight away, because you want to kind of get an idea of what it's looking like before you permanently stick it to the wall. So here it is with the outer squares all finished, and I think that's Kim Kardashian. And I'm just basically placing the last one in the corner on this side and making sure it's all stuck with a bit of masking tape, and then we can move on to the inner sections. So once again, Andrew is back to cut more wood because he is way better at all the maths and the angles and the measurements than I am. So if you've got someone around who's good at maths, definitely get them to do this part. We had a little sword fight, just a friendly bit of fun. Didn't want anyone to get hurt in the process. Also, a little handy tip: if your wall isn't flat for this, what we did was we tried to put some weight on either side of the wood to make it more flexible. That didn't really work, but a handy tip: if you have a steamer, place the steamer on top of the wood with some weight, and that just, I guess, makes it a bit more weak and it makes it more flexible and bendy, and then you can quickly stick it to the wall whilst it's the shape that you've kind of molded it into. So we are back and we're putting in the inner beading, which I think you can really see it starting to take shape. once the inner sections go in, and it just makes it look way better. It blends more in with the ceiling, with the squares that are in the ceiling already. I think if we just had the outer ones, it wouldn't have had the same effect. So we're just using some glue to get all of these stuck on, but we didn't show all of them being stuck on because it would have just been a little bit repetitive. And then obviously just cleaning up the edges with some filler. So once all the filler was smooth and dry, it was time to get some primer on these wood panels so that they could be prepared for some paint over the top. So here I go, I'm getting that on nicely. It doesn't really have to be neat because it's just a primer for the paint to stick to on top of it. So once all the wood panels were on, it was time to take the curtain rail down and begin some painting and get the lounge back to more of a blank canvas. So we decided to paint the ceiling white just to keep all of that nice and fresh, and then once the ceiling is dried, it's time to paint the wood paneling. It's gonna look so good, guys. Stick around to the end of the video to see what the wood paneling looks like, because once that was painted, honestly, it really brought the lounge to life and it just looked so much better. So for anyone wondering, the textured wallpaper on the ceiling wasn't necessarily something that we wanted to keep. However, we thought if we take it off, there might be some plaster damage underneath it, and that means that the whole ceiling would then need replastered. So for now, we're just going to paint over that with some white paint, and it actually looked pretty good, to be fair. It looked nice and fresh, and yeah, it just blended in really nicely with the rest. Okay folks, so basically, little update of where we are on the lounge currently. We've pretty much got all the beading done on the wall that we needed to get done, and then we've gone around the top part and the ceiling with the white paint. But now we're pretty much at the point where we can just get the colour on here fully across. As you can see, we'd already kind of been testing around a few colours to see what we thought we liked the most. If we wanted to go with maybe like a bit of a more darker taupe kind of one or a bit of a lighter one. We did eventually decide on turning tables. This is by Valspar, And we actually ended up going for the one that is dead flat matte, because we thought with it being in the lounge, we thought we might as well just splash out a bit more and just go for like a little bit more of the expensive version. So yeah, this is what's going to be going on the walls, and hopefully, I'm not sure what it's going to look like on camera, because to be fair, the colours on camera versus like what it looks like in real life with different lighting, and even when the sun goes in and out, like this swatch on the wall changes so much with the sunlight and stuff. But yeah, that's what we're going to do next. We're going to get this on the wall, and hopefully it'll look pretty good. So here is the first layer of paint complete, and I think we did 2 of these, and then we also went over the beading a few times because you really had to like get right into all the like little nooks and crannies of it. But it is looking pretty good if I do say so myself. The colour looks great, and it actually changes quite a lot depending on the lighting in the lounge, but we're really happy with it. It wasn't too grey, it also wasn't too like bright either. It was just a really nice in-between shade. So folks, here are some final shots of how it was looking once it was fully dried. We were so pleased with how this turned out, considering this is the first time that we've ever done this. If you have any questions, you can always ask them in the question section below. We'll get back to all of them. Make sure you subscribe to see what we do next. We have so much more to do, including the floor and the rest of the house as well. So stick around for that, and we thank you for watching the video, and we shall see you in the next one.